Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all. Welcome. We are on segment 2 of the program, Never Too Late to Learn. And we are very blessed today. We have, as promised, we do our best to bring the best to you. And today we have Ayla Codwell. She is a dynamic posture performance instructor, and she's been doing this work for many years, and today she's going to be speaking to us about how do we live a life free of pain. We're really blessed to have you. Welcome, Ayla.
Hello, thank you.
So Ayla, coming back to the topic, how do we live free of pain? And this has been your journey, this has been your life, doing your best to support people and yourself as well, of living in a body that does not experience pain. So can you share more about this?
Sure. Yes, it's been quite a personal journey for me on discovering what techniques do work for my body. Everyone's got a different route of achieving pain-free or a life where they don't have pain. There are many components that can add to the factors, but my journey was more identifying what I needed to do in my body, and using those techniques to help myself, I've been able to help others.
That's really awesome, Ayla. So how would you define your technique?
So it's a combination of primarily two techniques. One is an exercise technique, similar to that of yoga and Pilates, but the exercises are done in a different structure. So we have quite a specific order of the exercise sequence, and one exercise movement will prepare or create a change in the body, and that prepares it for the next exercise. And these exercises have helped create a lot more, a stronger realignment in my body as well as others. And they also have worked quite specifically on the function of the muscles and the joints in the body and rehabilitating those functions. The second technique goes into addressing the nervous system within the body. And this technique works on a therapy. That's a muscle testing technique, and it allows for myself and my own body and for me to find in others what specific muscle imbalance there is in the body, and allows us to work out exactly what needs to be released. But there will always be one muscle that's overworking, or one area of the body that's overworking, and then that overworking area shuts down another area from working, and that creates the imbalance. So with the muscle testing technique, we'll be able to identify exactly what muscle you need to release and what muscle you need to activate.
That's exceptionally amazing, Ayla. So you used a few words. You used the word alignment, you used the word rehab, you used the word nervous system, you used words such as balance. From what you shared with us now, you're saying that our body is able to actually realign itself. It's able to bring itself back into balance if we give it and we support it with the correct exercises. Because what I found previously, being with you for the past 7 years has been amazing. But prior to that, I was doing exercises, also Pilates, but there were certain postures I couldn't do, and that made me feel like my body was dysfunctional, I was not fit enough. And I found working with you, when that particular posture or that particular exercise I'm not able to do, you say, no, let's wait, this muscle is not working, let's do this. And you just fix that, or we do a different exercise, and immediately I'm able to do the exercise that I wasn't able to do a second ago. So this is really powerful, listeners, to be able to understand that the technique that Ayla uses is very much of a rehabilitating, a very much of an alignment kind of thing, where the body, if given the correct exercises, if given the correct techniques, is able to perform and function in a way that one is able to be free of pain. So just to add to that, I am directly working with Ayla, and she does also have a Facebook page. She's been sharing her videos during this lockdown period, and we welcome you to go down, try those exercises, take it, look at it and see what you feel, and the difference that you go through and experience through your personal way after actually doing the exercise. The other thing, Ayla, is people speak about good posture and good mobility. What does this actually mean, and would you think that this is important for function at all levels, I would say?
Yes, definitely. Good posture and good mobility in the body is very important. The body is designed to move, okay? It has a big range of motion. It has a big range of capability within its movement. However, just to sum up a little bit on what you said earlier as well, the reason the exercises work so well, and as you said, where you had one exercise you find difficult, and then you do something else, and you come back to it, it's much easier. The reason being is from a stimulus response. So our human body operates on stimulus response. So you can have a negative stimulus response, or you can have a positive. The positive will allow the body to suddenly change its response and give it a new outcome. So the importance of, and that going back to the importance of posture and mobility, comes directly from a stimulus response action. So unfortunately, our lifestyle doesn't create a lot of stimulus for the body to move a lot. So you get a very little response out of the body because you're not stimulating it to move unless you do the exercises, you purposefully create stimulant to have it moving all the time. With our lifestyle of sitting in front of computers, driving, it only knows that range of motion. So unless you take it into more range of motion, bigger range of motion, those are your stimulus, you will get that response out of the body. The other thing that also tends to have an impact on our posture and our mobility is accidents, injuries. So many of us land up with traumas, with any kind of accident, car accidents. It's hard not to ever have a life without an accident or an injury. However, what you can do, because of this stimulus response mechanism in the body, is you can reprogram the body out of those accidents. So the body will react in a certain way to the accident or injury to protect itself and to preserve its survival. Okay, but thankfully we can actually reprogram and put in a new stimulus on the body that allows it to recognize that it no longer needs to have whatever pattern or bad posture it created from the lack of response or injury, and it can actually have good posture and good mobility.
Wow, this is truly revealing. In fact, many of us are stuck with the idea that I'm stuck with this body. I went through this accident. There's no way I can, I can heal or all of that. So what I hear you saying is that when a person goes through an injury, or even I would even assume an emotional trauma, then there's certain reactions or responses we would do, like we'll hold our breath when we're afraid. We do that, and then the body gets stuck there, and then you like upright like this, and then the posture just stays there because the body still thinks that it needs to stay in that position to be able to survive. Because as you mentioned, it's a survival a way of the body of wanting to survive. That's this kind of survival response. So what you're saying is that you can actually reprogram, and you can tell the body, relax, breathe out, it's okay. You know, this is over now, and we can reprogram. I love how you said that we actually can reprogram. That means we can teach our body, our muscles, and all of that. We can teach it to say, you know what, this is not happening anymore. So relax, take it easy, and let's now introduce the normal way of how you need to function. And many of us obviously we're not even aware that there's a so-called normal functioning, because we didn't realize that, oh my, this particular accident or this particular trauma, emotional trauma, had actually blocked or created this stuck, or how would I say, where my body is now, you know, yeah, I would use the word stuck. My body is stuck here and it's not moving, or it can't move because of that particular incident. So thank you for that, Ayla. The other question, okay, it's also related, but you know, we spoke about what creates imbalance in the body, which you have mentioned, but is there anything further that you can share with us? What does actually create imbalances in the body? We spoke about injury and emotional imbalances. Anything else?
Okay. So yeah, predominantly, yes, you can have emotional imbalance, you can have injury imbalance, and I suppose one of the other components can be from a repetitive motion. So if you're repeatedly having to do or doing a certain movement over and over, that will create imbalance. A lot of your office workers working for long hours at the computer, they will create an imbalance because of repeatedly doing the same motion or movement at the computer. Even certain types of jobs or work where you're repeatedly doing a certain movement to do something. I have also noticed with working with you, Rubina, and some of your family, the playing motion and the way you guys go into that movement, unfortunately, does create an element of imbalance, because again, you're repeating the same movement quite consistently. So there's nothing wrong with repeated movement. And the same goes for sitting, long hours of sitting. There's nothing wrong with it. The problems come when the body gets stuck in that repeated movement pattern and it doesn't know how to come out of that pattern. So for instance, if your body's stuck in sitting and it's been sitting for a long time, when you stand up and you ask it to move and walk, it only knows the position of sitting. And now it can't get out of that movement easily because its range is tight. So it's been squished down at the hips and the front of the hips are tight. So you ask the body to walk, it doesn't know how to straighten out of that position. So it will try and walk while staying bent. And so that where repeated movement can be a problem. Then there's one other factor that does tend to create imbalance and also would have other complications and limitations that we would have to be aware of, is where some people end up with huge injury or problems, sometimes such as cancer, where you unfortunately have to take out a part of the body, or the physical structure or the physical section has been damaged, and that has to be removed from the body. That will create, unfortunately, a long-term imbalance, and sometimes that has a limitation as to how much you can get the body back into balance. You could maintain it and you could try and manage it and lessen it, but because it's missing a piece of structure, it is unfortunately always going to have imbalance. So you'd have to work it out and weigh it from there. But generally, injuries where you've just had a scar or a broken limb or damage, but you've still got your physical structure, we can certainly reprogram and change that. Or a fixed repeated pattern, you can reprogram and change the body out of that position. The part where there's a missing body structure, you can certainly help the body and to give it as much stimulus to stay balanced as possible, but it has got some limitations on that aspect.
Yes, no, thank you so much for sharing. And as you were speaking, I was thinking of people who play sports, like repetitive sports, like for example, if they into horse riding or playing tennis or squash, whatever, any type of sports. But also what you're saying is that that particular movements are done so often that the body also gets out of balance. So it's what you're saying is, what I'm understanding is that we actually all need this, whether we are physically fit or not, for us to be able to bring our body back to balance, because each one of us obviously is living a life of repetitive movements because of our whatever, whether it's a type of work or whether it's a career that we have chosen. So yeah, no, thank you for that. So just to add on how would you work with somebody who's a person who plays tennis, and what experience they would have, and then you'll have to help them bring their body back into balance.
No, super. Thank you. It definitely does make a big difference. And yes, you were quite right in saying the sport is a very dominant one. I mean, if you look at all your Olympic players, your top players, and the amount of physical therapy, the amount of additional training that they have to do to maintain an ability of function within their body for their sport and to keep their ability and capability in their sport. So yes, that is definitely another one. I had quite an interesting, just as a nice little example from a repetitive movement. I had an interesting case that I worked with yesterday, and he's a vet, and he's done at times he's worked with horses' teeth and having to clean the teeth. So it's quite a heavy, strong arm movement, and he had injured the tendon of the bicep. So we all know the bicep muscle bends the arm, and he injured the tendon. And I found an imbalance within so the bicep muscle is split in two muscles. So there's a short muscle and there's a long muscle. Okay, it's not just one muscle, it's two muscles that does the movement. And the one shorter muscle tendon was overworking and pulling the other tendon out of place, which was causing a lot of pain for him. So once we got the tight tendon to let go, the long tendon just slipped back into place, and he had far better movement and function within the shoulder. And he said every time he goes and cleans the horse's teeth, it gets aggravated. And it's because of that exact movement pattern. So every time he's doing that movement, it's stimulating the one muscle to overwork and do the job more than the other one. So then it pulls it out of place. That was just a nice, simple little example that I found yesterday, which is a very interesting one on how repetitive movement can really aggravate the body.
Fantastic, Ayla. So there's definitely hope, and yes, it's making a lot of sense that we can actually live free of pain if we just know how to work with the body and have instructors like you. So we'd like to, can you please share your details so whoever is able to and ever wants to can connect with you? And and I do understand that you do remote healings as well, remote sessions. So we'll be happy to have your details.
Okay, yes. No, thank you, Vina. I do remote sessions, and I've been able to help a friend in the UK with some injuries that she's had. So either we can do it from a movement perspective, or if there's someone else that can help, can tell the other person how as to what to do for me, and we can find out exactly what is going on the muscle imbalance. But you can find me on my Facebook page, which is Ayla Dynamic Posture Performance. You can follow me on Facebook. And then otherwise, my contact details are for my cell phone number is 078 411 061. and I am primarily based in Kyalami. The one center that I'm working at the moment is called the Collaborative Healing Center, and it's a beautiful center being put together to allow many different healing practitioners to be able to help provide services and help others.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ayla. We wish you well in your journey, and hopefully we'll have you back again on the program Never Too Late to Learn. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Lovely to be here. Thank you.
With that, listeners, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that you got a glimpse of what's actually happening, and you are feeling more positive and hopeful that yes, you can actually live free of pain. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.